people dream of becoming a performer. This is how opera singers make that dream a reality. Today we're going to be talking about how an opera singer becomes an opera singer. But first, tea. So before I dive in, I just want to say, being an opera singer is awesome. It's exciting, rewarding, and unlike anything else. We get to travel to cool places, meet lots of fun, creative people, and basically play pretend for a living, all while singing some of the most glorious music ever composed. The path to get there isn't easy. It's actually really hard, but it is so worth it. It takes a lot of time and study to become an opera singer, and there is way more to it than just learning how to sing. Most of us start in college where, yes, we do learn about vocal technique, but we also have to know about music theory, ear training, piano skills, acting, theater, movement, languages, diction, history, poetry, vocal health, opera repertoire, business, marketing. It's a lot. Singers frequently spend as many years in college as doctors do. And just like doctors, we keep studying long after graduation. The same way professional athletes still need coaches, professional opera singers continue taking voice lessons throughout their career. If you want to get to the fun part of actually singing on stage, you have to audition. Singers have to audition for every role and every job they get, even the ones where they make you dress up like a chicken. While most auditions are held online these days, I actually have a real live audition this afternoon. I am so excited. Plus, now I get to take you with me and show you what the process is like. So I'm gonna go warm up and get ready, and I'll be back. So today I'm singing for Marsh Opera. They are a Connecticut-based company that I've sung with many times before. And it's nice because this audition is actually pretty close to my house. Usually singers travel from all across the country to New York City because that's where all the opera companies have their auditions. We have to come prepared with what's called a 5-aria package. Aria is just the Italian word for a solo song in an opera. So I have 5 arias ready to go for today. They're all in different languages and different styles, and of course they all have to be memorized. And that's just the bare minimum of preparation that you have to do for an audition. You have to have a resume, a headshot, some references. Sometimes a company will even ask you to send a recording so that they can pre-screen you before giving you a live audition. So there's a lot to prepare. You have to be a little bit strategic about the arias that you bring into an audition, because not only do they have to be a good fit vocally, you have to be able to sing them well, but they also have to be a good character fit, meaning it has to be a character that you could realistically play right now. So let's say there's an aria or a song that I really love, but it's sung by a grandpa. I'm obviously not going to be able to be cast as the grandpa, so I'm not going to bring that aria into my audition. Casting decisions in opera are made by the artistic director. Now that's the person who oversees all of the creative side of the company. Usually an artistic director is either a conductor, that's the person who leads the orchestra, coaches the singers, and is the musical director of a production, or they're a stage director. And I'm actually going to let my friend Josh tell you a little bit more about what it's like to be a stage director, so I can focus on the road.
I'm Josh Shaw. I'm artistic director for Pacific Opera Project in Los Angeles, and I direct for Salt Marsh Opera and a bunch of other opera companies across the country. The stage director is in charge of making the whole show happen. The main part of it is meeting with the singers for a couple weeks and walking them through the part and talking about their characters and making a cohesive show by the time we open. It's my job to say, I want the production to kind of look like this. Then you start interacting with your designers. So your costume designer, your lighting designer, props, set designer, and say, okay, designers, go do your thing and come back to me with some drawings and some ideas. You got to be the most prepared person in the room. You don't have to be the most creative or the best, but if you're the most prepared, you can always back up what you say. You know, it's a team effort, but if it goes well, the director should get credit, and if it goes bad, the director definitely gets credit. So there are a couple ways that you can become an opera stage director. The most direct way is to go to school to do that. So get your undergrad in directing and then a specialty in opera by the time you get to your master's. I did not go that way. I was a singer and did that for about 7 years, and then just found myself doing a lot of things that directors have to do behind the scenes, helping with the sets or costumes. And it was really just learn as you go. The best thing about this job is that there's always something new that I need to learn. Every time I do a show, every time I do a production, particularly since I don't just direct the shows. Typically, I'm running, I'm the artistic director at a company. So that means I have had to learn marketing and sales and Photoshop and iMovie and every program you can name. And all that's really fun. There's no other art form where you can go and sit 10 feet away from someone singing and feel it move your body without a microphone, right? I mean, sure, you can go to a rock concert and leave never hearing again because it's so loud, but to hear a human being do that with an orchestra and everything else is... You can't get that feeling from anything else. It became my mission and my goal to make opera accessible to everybody. What can we do to take an opera that's probably been around for hundreds of years and make it new and fresh, not only for the people who have seen it a dozen times, but also for people who have never heard of it. One of our most popular productions out here at Pacific Opera Project is called Superflute, and it's based on Mozart's The Magic Flute. Magic Flute is about this prince with a sword fighting dragons and beating the fire and the water. And we looked at that and we said, well, this really sounds like a video game. You got to beat this level to get to this level to get to this level to win the princess, which is exactly what happens in Magic Flute. So we made this opera that looks just like a video game. Link and Zelda are in there, and Donkey Kong and Wario and Mario and Princess Peach, and there's a lot of characters in that show. It was really fun, and what I love about it is that kids, who are 8 years old and people who are 80 years old have heard of Mario Brothers. If nothing else, they see a picture and they say, I know who that character is. Maybe I'll go see this opera. And they did, and it was a huge hit, and can't wait to do it again.
I just took a wrong turn. That's what I get for talking to a camera while I drive. Never do this. Fortunately, I am obsessive about being on time. I used to have a professor in college who said, to be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is to be killed. I don't think he was serious, but none of us were ever late to find out. Ugh, the acoustics in this car are terrible. Can I go through here? Is this one way? Ooh, pothole. Ba-boom. We have found a parking place. I don't know why I'm using the royal we. I am alone in this car. Oh, it's a fire hydrant. Rats. Getting a little bit nervous now. I haven't sung live in a long time. so I'm a little rusty. All right, let's go.
Good morning, Travis. Welcome. What would you like to sing today?
Non so pace by Mozart.
Great, thank you very much. Whenever you're ready.
One of the things that I always have to remember when I'm auditioning is that nervousness and excitement feel the same in the body. So I just need to convince myself that I'm really excited and not nervous. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of warming up and then I think I'm next. So keep your fingers crossed, here we go.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, who's next? Fingers crossed. And now let's go get out of these uncomfortable shoes. So, I didn't get the job. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed. It's always disappointing when you put yourself out there and try your best and it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to. But that's the reality of being a performer. Most auditions end in rejection. It's just something else you have to plan for. And rejection doesn't mean that you're not talented, hardworking, or deserving. It just means you didn't get the job or win the audition or make the team. You know, if you want to achieve big things, you have to learn how to turn every no into a not yet or a not this time and keep going. Whenever I'm dealing with rejection, I give myself a little time to be sad And then I try to do something proactive, like working on my craft or looking for new opportunities. And that's just what I did this time. I wanted to get a different perspective on the casting process. So today I'm headed to the Marsh Opera offices to meet with Simon Holt and find out what it's like on the other side of the table in the audition room. Here we are, Marsh Opera office headquarters. It's a pretty cool building.
Well, Sarah, welcome to Marsh Opera. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back. I wanted to talk to you today about casting, about auditioning. I just wanted to know what it is that you look for in a singer. How do you know who you're going to hire and who you're not?
Well, it's a great question. I remember working with a stage director who, of course, was only concerned about how the singer looked. As the singer was walking in the room, I was aware of him whispering in my ear, no, I don't think he's the right person, or I don't think she's the right person. But of course, from my point of view as the conductor, as well as the artistic director, it's really how the singer sounds. So in terms of preparing for an audition, in my world, the singer needs to be sure that he or she really knows the music inside out. Because the reality is that when you come to audition, there'll be so many other singers and you'll all be at the same level, so you have to have that edge. So that's really sort of my number one. The look is important, but of course you're thinking of the whole cast as opposed to just the look of that one singer.
Right.
I also go for one other thing, which I call the tingle factor. If the hairs on my neck go up, then I know that this person's hit that tingle factor.
You obviously don't have a ton of time to get to know
Right.
the singers as they're walking through the door. How many do you hear in a day in a given audition
Well,
season?
we schedule every singer in a 5-minute window.
So that's not a lot of time to make
No.
to make an impact.
So sometimes the personality of a singer, you can sort of sense it as they walk in the room. You know, when you hear 300 singers a year, I find that I can recall many of them, but not all of them. I often have to refer to my notes to see if I've actually heard a singer in past years.
How many jobs are these 300 singers auditioning for?
You're looking at under 20 roles that you're filling. You know, you may get 25, 30 sopranos all after the same role.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes, I think, even more frightening, which is why I think practicing is so important, so that you can be the best that you can be.
Now, if someone makes a mistake in an audition, is that a disqualifying thing for you?
It is kind of for me, yes. If you make a mistake in an audition or you forget your lines, I have to sort of imagine, well, if you're that nervous for just singing to Little Old Me, what would you be like singing to
Right.
large audiences? So yes, if you forget your lines, unfortunately, that's probably the end.
Well, I've never forgotten a line, but I do remember one audition where I was singing a new aria and it had a really high note at the end. And I put an additional high note at the end and I missed it. Not by a lot, but I missed it. And it was the last note of the piece and I burst out laughing at the end because it was just so funny because I don't usually miss high notes. I practice a lot. But I completely missed it and I laughed and you laughed and it made me feel so much better and you hired me for it anyway. But so I mean, I made a mistake and you hired me anyway.
That wasn't really a mistake, you see, in my mind. The mistake was if you had just sung completely the wrong note.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I just swing and a
that's
miss.
But also it showed me your sort of personality, that it wasn't the end of the world. If you'd burst into tears, I probably wouldn't have hired you.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Laugh at your mistakes, kids.
Yes, because it is just a mistake.
That's true. This last audition that I just sang for you, you were the only one there, largely because of COVID.
Yeah.
But if this were a normal year, who else is on the panel with you? Who else is deciding?
So we have 3 or 4 people that sit with me on the panel. Normally the stage director, to see the acting sense of the singer, our education coordinator, who is also our stage manager, and then I often have a board member who sits with me, and then outside a volunteer who greets all the singers when they come. But you should all know this person is also just keeping a close eye on how that singer is in the waiting room, because we can learn an awful lot from a singer when they're dealing with nerves as well. when they're out of the room.
A little spy out there.
Kind of, yes. There was one singer a few years ago that the proctor outside came in at the end of the day and said, I know that singer was extremely good, but don't hire him because of the way he behaved.
So the mythical diva who walks around thinking they're better than everyone else is not actually appealing and disqualifying in most cases.
Not in companies like Salt Marsh Opera, where it's all about the cast working together.
One of my favorite memories of working here at Salt Marsh, it was actually probably a really stressful, not so nice memory for you, but the set designer just didn't finish the set.
That's right.
And it was the day before the dress rehearsal, and half the cast showed up we were there with paintbrushes, and we were all painting the set together, and it was supposed to be our day off, and we're just like, no, let's all come, and everyone had that let's come together attitude. And that's my favorite part about being an artist and working in an arts community, is that everyone has that attitude of who cares whose job it is, we're all going to come together and make this show happen.
Right, and it's a wonderful thing that happens from my point of view, but I also think about maybe this is a really good experience for the singers to see what actually goes into putting on an opera.
Well, it really is the only art form that encompasses all of the other art forms.
Yeah.
Of course, the musical element, the acting, staging element. There are frequently ballets or dance or choreography.
That's right.
There's obviously the visual arts element in the costumes, in the scenery, and the props. It really does combine all of the art forms into one, which is why it's so awesome and exciting, and also so expensive and complicated to produce, which is why there's not as much of it as there is, go to see a band with a guitar, a bass, a drums, and a keyboard. It doesn't have the same level of complexity. And I think too often in modern society, complex things are viewed as less appealing. And,
I think so.
And I think that's frequently better.
Well, one of the things that we may be missing is that when we say the word opera, immediately people think of singers. But and maybe we need to, as companies, be thinking much more about the other aspects and really promoting those. So we get more people excited about the work of the orchestra, for instance, that is so often seen as just the group that accompanies the singers.
Right.
But, they're just equally as important. So that may actually be the future of the art form, is by sort of putting more energy into thinking about all the other aspects to opera other than just singing.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do in this series.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show all of the different people that come together to make an opera production what it is, an opera company, thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel so much better about my audition after speaking with Simon. It is both discouraging and encouraging to hear about just how fierce the competition is. On the one hand, is it frightening to hear that there are 300 to 400 singers going for the same 20 jobs? Yeah, but it's also really nice to know that for all the jobs I didn't get, it probably wasn't me. So thank you for joining me on this operatic audition journey. I hope you learned a little something about the process from the singer's point of view, and also what it's like on the other side of the table from the artistic director's perspective. And as always, if you have any questions, please do send us an email. You can find our contact information at saltmarshopera.org, or you can connect with us on all of the usual social media platforms. Please like this video and subscribe to the Salt Marsh Opera YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.